So there's this OF model who basically hits a breaking point in life and decides she's finally going to get revenge on a guy she's been carrying anger toward since high school. Her online name is Selena Savage, which already sounds like a whole character. And when this whole thing begins, she's about 27 years old, living a pretty normal life in Virginia. Selena has done a bit of everything. She served in the Coast Guard for a while. She worked normal jobs. And eventually she started making some money doing OF, which, good for her. She's doing what she needs to do to survive and stay afloat. But underneath all of that, she's carrying a very heavy thing that she never properly dealt with. Back in high school, years earlier, she says one of her classmates raped her, and that event stuck with her in a way she never recovered from. It traumatized her so badly that she didn't even report it at the time. For her own personal reasons, fear, shame, shock, whatever it was, she just tried to pretend it didn't happen and continue her life. Except she couldn't move on. 10 whole years go by. 10. And she realizes she's still waking up with this weight on her chest. Still replaying what happened. Still angry. Still hurt. And still afraid. Finally, in 2017, she reaches a breaking point. She decides she is done staying quiet. She goes to the police in Virginia and she tells them about the guy who attacked her back in high school. His name is Matthew. He's about the same age as her, or around 27. But he doesn't live in Virginia anymore. He moved to Ohio. She lays out the story for the police, hoping after all this time someone will finally take her seriously. But she gets hit with another traumatic blow. The police tell her that because so much time has passed, and because there's basically no physical evidence left, there's not enough to file charges. And she is devastated. Like imagine finally building up the courage to speak after a decade, and then being told nothing can be done. So once again, Selena does what she's been doing her whole life. She tries to just push it down, bury it, and move on again. I think this is around the time she starts her OF account and gets more active online. Maybe trying to distract herself with work or control something in her life. Fast forward to 2021. Selena is around 31 years old, and she's on Facebook one day, minding her business, scrolling through the people you may know section, and suddenly, out of literally nowhere, Matthew's profile pops up. 15 years have gone by since high school. 15 years since everything happened. And suddenly his face is staring right at her again. She gets overwhelmed with anger. Like, is this guy going to haunt her forever? Even social media can't let him go. And something in Selena snaps. She realizes she cannot take this anymore. She decides that since the system didn't protect her, she's going to take matters into her own hands. She's going to get her own version of justice. Or revenge. Whatever you wanted to call it. So she adds him on Facebook, and he accepts. Pretty soon they start messaging. Friendly at first, then more flirtatious. They're chatting regularly, and Matthew has no idea what's really going on behind the scenes. Eventually, Selena suggests she could drive all the way to Ohio, 300 miles, to spend the night with him. And Matthew, of course, likes this idea, because there's an unspoken assumption they're going to hook up. They agree. Selena rents an Airbnb close to his place. She borrows her husband's car, yes. She's married with kids, and she starts driving from Virginia to Ohio like nothing's wrong. Matthew spends that evening out drinking with his co-workers while he waits for her. And when Selena arrives, his co-workers actually see him leave the bar with her. They get into the borrowed car together, go to the Airbnb, and spend the night. The next morning, they go to a national park nearby. It has hiking trails, woods, and even this creepy old cemetery people say is haunted. The perfect quiet place. They're walking, talking, exploring. And at some point, Matthew turns his back, just looking at the scenery. Selena pulls a pistol from her things, raises it, and shoots him in the back of the head. One shot, instant. She then leaves him there in the secluded part of the park, walks back to the car, and drives straight back to Virginia like nothing happened. A few days later, some hikers find Matthew's body and call the police. Investigators in Ohio start digging into what happened. They talk to his co-workers, who immediately tell them he left the bar with some woman they didn't know. They describe the car. Police track the vehicle and discover it belongs to Selena's husband. Now they finally have a lead, but this is where the story takes a total left turn. Because while the police and the FBI are working on Matthew's case, Matthew's mom is going through her own nightmare. She is shattered by her son's death. Absolutely destroyed. And whether she never heard about the old saw allegation or she just doesn't believe it, either way, she sees her son as a victim who deserves justice. The months go by. No arrests. The killer is still out there. And Matthew's mom starts obsessing over solving the case herself. She begins looking at every scrap of information she can find. She studies people connected to Matthew, looks at old relationships, old friends, old co-workers, everything. The search consumes her. It becomes her whole life. She's convinced she will figure it out eventually. She becomes absolutely certain she's found the killer, but she's wrong. She doesn't identify Selena. I don't even know if she knows Selena exists. Instead, she fixates on a completely unrelated woman, someone with zero connection to Matthew. No idea how she landed on this woman, but she becomes convinced this totally innocent person is the murderer. We'll call her Random Woman instead of taking her theory to the police. She decides she's going to handle it herself. Matthew's mom buys a brown vest and a brown baseball cap to make herself look like a UPS driver. She puts a loaded pistol inside a cardboard package, and she convinces her husband to drive her to this random woman's home in Washington, D.C. They get there. Matthew's mom walks up to the door holding the fake package. Random woman answers, and without hesitation, Matthew's mom pulls the gun out of the box and shoots her twice in the stomach. Right on her doorstep, she then sprints back to the car and they speed away. Police quickly respond. Officers are already searching the area when they spot a car matching the description of the shooter's vehicle. They pull it over, and in that moment, Matthew's mom realizes she's trapped. There's no escape, no way to talk herself out of this. She panics, grabs her gun, and ends her own life right there in the passenger seat with her husband beside her. Her husband is arrested on the spot. About a month later, literally 1 month, the FBI finishes their investigation into Matthew's death, and they officially arrest Selena Savage for his murder. If Matthew's mom had waited just a little longer, she would have seen the real killer brought to justice instead of destroying her life and almost taking someone else's. Matthew's father takes a plea deal and gets 3.5 years in prison for helping his wife. Selena pleads guilty to killing Matthew. She hasn't been sentenced yet. And unbelievably, the random woman who was shot in D.C. survives.